Welcome. Welcome, everyone. MTL Sports Podcast. We're on episode 88. All right. For today, we're about, 4 days away from the draft? You guys will be watching on Tuesday, but we're recording on Monday. So we're about 4 days away from the draft this Thursday. We have one more division to cover for you guys. NFC West. Division with maybe some heavyweights, maybe some teams have fallen off. We won't know, but we'll discuss. We'll give you guys our thoughts about that. Also, we got finish our NBA playoff coverage. We have the both 1 and 8 matchups for both of the conferences, East and West, that we forgot to go over last week. So we will check in with those series and maybe we'll do a little recap of the weekend. But no further ado, guys. Stay tuned. Let's go. Let's kick it off. The last division of the NFC that we have to go over. Last division of the whole NFL divisional, season recap that we did. It's been a long journey, but it's almost done. Like I said earlier in the opener, NFL draft is this Thursday. So our big draft coverage day will be on Wednesday. So next episode, we'll have a big draft coverage day. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, y'all, we got NFC West, Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, Arizona Cardinals. All these teams, I think, are picking on Thursday, I believe. We'll double check on that. But in terms of the season, though, you already know what we do here. We're going to give each team a grade, A, B, C, D, F. And then we're going to kind of look forward to their future next season. So, with all that being said, let me pull up let's pull up these divisions here. And let's start, I guess, with the bottom and work our way up here. So we got the Cardinals. Not a good season for them. Kyler Murray was out for like 80% of the season. But some Josh Dobbs action early on. Beat the Cowboys, beat a couple other teams. And Kyler Murray came on late. I think he won them like a game or two. So it might look bad in the standings, but maybe with some magic in the draft, they can make a resurgence. All right, so I'll start with Tevin today. Tevin, give us a grade for the Cardinals season. Let's start with the grade first.
For the season, I give the Cardinals. I give them a C. They had some moments in the season you referenced, beating the Cowboys. They were kind of competitive in some of their earlier matchups. I think they even beat the Commanders too in a close one. And then they beat the Eagles when they came back, when Kyler came back. So they had and they had a nice little shootout with the Texans. And Kyler showed that he's still that guy. So, that was good for them. I still don't believe in Jonathan Gannon personally, but that's just my opinion. But I do say they had a solid season, a C. What were they, like 6-11, something like that?
4-13 was their record.
I would like to get to 6 wins, but all right. It's like, kind of how much can you expect? Kyler was out, and they need playmakers, so they need guys on that side of the ball, offensively, and defensively they could use some help as well. But they played admirably to keep them. 4 wins is a lot for a team that doesn't have a bunch of household names. So yeah, I give them a C. They need to get some playmakers, of course, on the offensive side of the ball in the draft. And defensive players that are just going to be plug-and-play guys, specifically on the edge because they're in the NFC West. And they have the 49ers who like to, throw different looks at you, but it's a passing league, so they will pass the ball. They think they got a guy in Purdy, so you need to go get after him. You need to get after Geno, and then you got to get after Stafford, and they might make a play, too, for a quarterback. So be on the lookout for the Rams. So, yeah, like a C, C minus. I'll give it C minus because 4 wins. I mean, like that should be a D, but it's not a horrible year. They had a building block year, so yeah.
Building block, yeah, I would agree with that one right there. Lawrence, let's hear your grade. Cardinals, what was their season?
I'd probably give the Cardinals like a B. They were supposed to be like one of the laughing stocks of the league, which you could say they kind of were. But if you're in the situation that they were in, your main goal was to get people paid. In which they got their quarterback paid. We're not talking about Kyler Murray. We're talking about Dobbs. He literally got a nice little bag to go play for Minnesota and suck he did. But with the Cardinals, he didn't suck. So he got himself a good bag. That's what he was supposed to do. That's what they were supposed to do. Make sure guys got their money. They made sure guys got their money. And they also, honestly, they figured out pieces for the future. They realized that I think it was Ertz that was on the team. They realized Ertz, we don't really need him. Trey McBride, he did a fantastic job. Kind of proved that he could be the guy for the future. That's what you're looking for in a shitty season. And they realized that their wide receivers are pretty much poop, and that's where they're going to have to figure out and fix. So it was a figure it out season. They did a good job bringing Michael Carter for backup running back. I think going forward, I don't know if James Conner is your guy, but he doesn't stay healthy enough to be kind of thought of as the guy for you. But anyways, I mean, that's kind of the way I look at the Cardinals. The problem with the team was that it was never going to win games. The fact that they kept some certain pieces there, aka like Buda Baker, they kept him there. And the fact that they beat, two, at the moment we thought there were two top teams. Like, okay, the Cowboys went on to lose first round of the playoffs. Eagles went on to lose first round of the playoffs, but they took them both out. So it's a good job for what they did. They were in a lot of games fighting, which is a lot better to say than a lot of the teams who finished as low as they did. I mean, the Bears didn't fight in most of their games. The Bears just kneeled over and died and took a gun to the back of the head. So, I mean, at least the Cardinals didn't do that.
Fair enough right there. I'm about to disagree with both of you a little bit. I'm gonna go D+. I think you were supposed to suck. You were supposed to get a better draft pick, y'all. And they messed around, won some games they probably shouldn't have. They end up with the 4th pick, which isn't bad in this draft because they're not in need of a quarterback. But just imagine if they were in the Bears position, like the Bears were last year, and they had the number 1 pick. Someone's going to want to trade up because you know that you're not going to take that pick. You're not going to use a quarterback for that pick. Could have got a little king's ransom for that, so I'm going to knock them a lot for that. But I agree with you, Lawrence. They got some guys paid. They figured out that their wide receivers aren't, I wouldn't say the best, but I guess synergy-wise, with Kyler, it just wasn't working out. Rondell Moore, they shipped them out. Hollywood Brown shipped them out to the Chiefs. So they're starting fresh. So I agree with that. Start fresh. Let's get Marvin Harrison Jr. Potentially, and maybe give Kyler a little bit of a hot seat. He is starting his big contract, but if you give him, one of the best new toys out there, maybe he'll work some magic with said toy and make some people a believer again. I believe in Kyler. Some people are already doubting him, so that's that. But fellas, I guess you guys already hinted about what they need to do in the draft, so we'll probably skip past that for now. They need a lot of pieces, so we might be here all night if we go over that. But next up,
Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. That's it. That's who you call.
One of those two. But next, I believe in terms of rankings, the Seahawks were next. So let's go with the Seahawks. In terms of their season, I think they barely just missed the playoffs. I think Gino's coming back. They traded for Sam Howell, so they have a nice option there if Gino flames out. So 98 is not bad. Over 500 is always, I guess, a moral victory, but not making the playoffs isn't a victory. Lawrence, let's start with you this time. How would you grade the Seahawks season?
I guess C-, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think they were horrible, but I never had faith in them going to the playoffs. I don't think Geno Smith's a playoff caliber quarterback. Especially with the weapons that he has, and he still can't make it to the playoffs. It's just kind of questionable. I mean, there's just a lot of Geno games where you just look at him and you're like, come on, man. Why are you making that decision now? Like, what are we doing here? Fix it. Dude, no, don't do that, Geno. I mean, that's just how I think whenever I watch a Seattle Seahawks game. It's, come on, Geno. You just get a little disappointed in certain times over the game. And then you also get disappointed over their defense. I mean, in terms of corners, Tyreek Woolen, and I think it was the first round pick from last year, they were supposed to be pretty good. Devon Witherspoon. Their corners weren't very good. Their secondary just was not very good. I think that you run that risk of not being very good at that position when your starting safety was Jamal Adams, and he doesn't play half the season. And even when he does play, he's more of a hard-hitting safety than any kind of a playmaker back there. And you already had a hard-hitting guy in Wagner, so there was no real need for Jamal. So, there's this little thing. They needed like kind of a more of a ball hawk safety back there to kind of aid their young corners, which they did not have. But I mean, overall, I think it was a mediocre season. It is what it is. That's kind of the only way you can put it. You're not moving anywhere. At least you got to make JSN look good in the few games you were making him a big prized item. You kind of need to get a tight end. You just kind of have guys who fill the role at tight end. And honestly, what you really need is you need a smart, make good decision quarterback, which kind of question why you brought in Sam Howell, because in my opinion, I think the perfect guy for this situation right now is the guy who's already in your state, which is Michael Penix.
Fair enough. All right, Tevin, how would you grade this Seattle Seahawks previous season?
I a little bit agree with Law that it kind of was an average season. And at the same time, some part of me feels a little disappointed with their season. Now looking back on it, because they do have a lot of talent, at least offensively, but defense still, even though there's like every rule in the book to not play it, defense does win championships still, as the Chiefs. So for me, I would say it's a C. It's another average. Actually, I want to give them a D. So I'm gonna give them a D because they have enough playmakers. Geno, I mean, is he a top 15? He could sneak in there with some of the games that he's played this year or last year. And his arm talent is still there. So, I mean, Geno, he's not the worst thing in the world. He could get you to the playoffs. And those other guys would have to win it for you. But in that position, those other guys like DK, he's got to show up a little bit more for me. He's not to me like you look at Justin Jefferson, you look at Jamar Chase, and you say those are automatic number ones. Sometimes DK's not that. He has games where it's like Dallas, he could be the best player on the field, and then he can be quiet, especially in the NFC West where there's not, other than when Jalen was with the Rams, there's not a bunch of lockdown guys. Half the guys now that are locked down are on his team. So for me, like DK kind of disappoints me. He should be taking that next step, and they gave him a nice little chunk of change to do that. And then their highlight reel, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he was hurt with a hammy, so they didn't really get a rhythm with that 3 wide receiver look that they wanted. And I don't think they're that team because offensive line, they got the tackles are okay. I like those guys. But interior, is it there for you to be, a pass happy team? And then defensively, are you, I like one of their edges, but they definitely need to look at somebody on the defensive line to add some juice to that defense. I would like Byron Murphy in the middle, the defensive tackle from Texas. I'd like an edge if you can keep Latu within proximity on the West Coast. I like that. They need some juice on the defensive line, and then we can figure out some stuff in the secondary in the second and third rounds. But they don't need a whole bunch on the offense, so they should be able to focus this draft on getting a defense that can get them into the playoffs and flip this grade. Because right now I got a D, and then they have a defensive head coach that they just brought in to replace Carroll or whatever he's doing. So they're probably leaning towards defense. And if they want to do that, I would say that's where they need to go to get back into the playoff hunt. Because 8-9 or whatever, 9-8, whatever, you're not competing seriously, and you can't beat the 49ers, and you competing to maybe get second place with the Rams. It's not the spot they need to be in for a team that has had some recent success with like playoffs and a Super Bowl long enough, but you got one in this modern era. So they need to be looking towards getting back into being a team that nobody else in the NFC West wanted to play, because that was kind of what their brand was. And now they're like, oh, it's the Seahawks. So yeah, but they need to go defense, and they got a D to go into the draft with. So hopefully that motivates them to get themselves to at least a B minus.
All right, sounds good. So D for you. I think for me, I'm gonna lean more to a C plus. I'm gonna give these guys a benefit of the doubt. A lot of injuries throughout the season. I know Gino got banged up pretty bad late. Like you said earlier, Tevin Jason, the hammy. It's just a lot of unfortunate injuries, especially late on. I think even Kenneth Walker was hurt for a little bit, so they were rolling with the backup Zach for a little bit. So just an unfortunate season. I expected borderline playoffs for them anyway. And as we said to open the past season, we said 9-8 was probably the cutoff. So you're at the cutoff point just because of the tiebreakers that didn't fall your way. You didn't win the games you were supposed to win. So it's a little unfortunate. So I'm not going to knock them too bad. But yeah, I think in terms of quarterback play, I think make or break it for Gino. Either he regains the magic from 2 seasons ago, or I guess they see something in Sam Howell, which the Commanders didn't. He just got beat up. Offensive line, I guess, is a little bit better here, but I mean that man still might be seeing ghosts. So I'm not too sure. The changing of the coast might help him. It might not. I don't know about that, but I think in terms of just moving forward, I think fixing the defense is probably priority. Offense is pretty solid. Offensive line could get better. Give Gino some more time to throw the ball, because sometimes the rush just gets to him too fast, and he's not a young Gino. He can't run as fast as you used to. So running for your life is not really an option after some of the hits that he's taken. So probably shore up the offensive line, defensive line, and then work from there. Maybe you look for a quarterback, but I guess because you brought in Sam Howell, you don't want to bring in any extra drama. So we'll move on from there. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Great season for them in terms of some success. They did make the playoffs, right? They made the playoffs, got themselves arguably their new number one in rookie Puka Nacua. Had a fabulous season. But unfortunately, Aaron Donald, the real old AD, he retired, y'all. So moving forward, the Rams are in a state of influx. But before we talk about their future, let's go down the path of grading. Tevin, what is your grade for the Rams season?
They have what? We're looking at 11 wins, 12 wins.
They were 10-7.
I'm a give them a B, because no one, in my opinion, no one really expected that. I'm a give them a B. It's solid enough. especially with the lack of talent that they have, like household names, most of those guys um, are like late round picks because they always were trading their first round picks for stars. They traded their first round pick for Matthew Stafford, traded picks to get Jalen Ramsey, um, traded picks to get Von Miller. So they picked up Odell. So that was like the one thing that they didn't have to trade for. But I mean, all the picks were spent. So all that star power out the building. Um, and you're replacing it with young guys that you want to see what they can do. Their defense attacker, I think Byron Young, he's pretty solid. I like his game. Um, they can go either way in the draft, in my opinion, where they could go offense, they could go quarterback, they could go, defense and try to find someone to kind of pass the mantle to, so to speak, with Aaron Donald's departure. But yeah, I mean, they're a team that it was a B season. Now, I would like to see if they're able to, Sean, what's his name?
McVay.
Sean. Yeah, if Coach McVay can get them to this point again in a playoff scenario, I would probably look at him as coach of the year because I think talent wise, they're not there. And with Stafford on the back nine, you wonder if it's time to make a move there, and then build that team because they do draft pretty solid guys. Look at Puka Nacua. Their linebacker, like I said, Byron Young, he wasn't a high pick either. So, they can draft, but you want to start getting blue chip guys into the building to rebuild that program. So, yeah, I think the Rams ought to be, and I think whatever is available for the Rams at 19, they need to jump on the first blue chip player, offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver, whatever. If Bowers is there, shoot, go get him because I think McVay probably knows how to cook up something with a guy like that, and he would love to have his own like George Kittle and Dallas Goedert and freaking Travis Kelce. So look for them to try and make a move. But yeah, the Rams are going to be an interesting little team this year coming up, but they gotta be.
All right, solid. B is solid. Lawrence, how about you? What would you say, grading wise, was the Rams season?
And I mean, we kind of called it towards the end that we knew they were going to make the playoffs. I know it was kind of looking sketchy whether or not they were going to make it or not. I guess the development of talent that they had over the season was pretty good. So I'm going to give like a C plus, B minus, maybe a B. All in that same range. I'll just go B minus, meet in the middle. Again, like it was just pointed out. In all honesty, they need a tight end. I'm sorry, Higbee, you're cool and all. Like it's been a nice little run. You're just not it. At the end of the day, you're just not it. And in the conference that you're in, or sorry, the division that you're in, they got a Kittle. The other team has a Kittle. I mean, you do everything a Kittle does in the blocking aspect. Now, when we go in terms of route tree aspect, you got like 2 routes. That's it. Makes it a little bit rough. If they want to be honest, the future is now with the Rams because now they get to recreate themselves. They're definitely going to draft a quarterback late, or not late, but not in the first round. But they're going to draft a quarterback at some point because you just know Stafford doesn't have but 2 or 3 years left at maximum.
Yeah.
They desperately need D-line now. Now that their face of the nation's gone. They got Tre'Davious White at corner now, but he's always hurt. So, dude, they're just needing all over the board. And honestly, going into the future, I mean, you're gonna have to pick a case in point, what you want to build around, and then you're gonna have to build the other one in the coming off season, in the coming trade deadline. Because honestly, what they need to do is have a more fundamental game plan of how they attack their offenses. Or attack with their offense and move on from that. Like there were so many games this season in which they just didn't do what they needed to do to win a game. And when I say that, like when they played the Bengals, I'll just use this for example. The Bengals were the worst team against the run. The Rams were hot. They were hot like the 2 weeks before that running the ball. Mr. Williams was killing it. And they ran the ball like 8 times against the Bengals. You get way too pass happy, which you think you can just dice people up all game with your pass game. But I'm sorry, but once you start dicing someone up with your pass game, go back to the running game. It works. It makes you have to be honest to it. And there's just, honestly, offensively, they just were disappointing last year because they would just get way too pass happy. And that's how Stafford always ended up with like 2 interceptions a game. Because you look at his numbers, he was passing the ball 40 times. Then they would have really good running games, and they run the ball maximum 15 times. It doesn't make any sense. If you want me to be honest with you, they need a better offensive coordinator there. Maybe take some slack off McShay, because he was not cooking, and whoever was offensive coordinator last year, way too pass happy.
Well, I think McVay calls the plays there, so this is gonna be a tall order. That's gonna be a tall order right there.
Way too pass happy. Way too pass happy.
Okay, we got a B- there. Yeah, I think it's a B season. For me, making the playoffs, obviously that's a big deal. Only 7 teams make it. 10-7, great record. They started off sluggish, and a lot of people were doubting them. I think we were one of the first people to say, "Yeah, they're getting hot right now. They're probably going to finish strong and make the playoffs." So shout out to us for that. A little call out right there. But I think with AD retiring, I think defense is on the forefront. Probably got finest replacement in the first round. I don't think there's any ifs and no buts about that. I think if Brian Murphy from Texas, that big boy, is still there at whatever pick they got, 18 or whatever, you got to go get him. If, and this is a big if my guy Brock Bowers is there, which he won't be because the Jets are going to snag him most likely, or my Bengals. Yeah, maybe get him, maybe trade up for him. I don't know. They have a lot of options. But I think defensive line specifically is probably where they should address first, and then maybe second round go tight end. I think those are 2 spots they definitely got to hit. In terms of the season, though, let's get back to that. Like Lawrence said, a little bit too pass happy. That's always been McVay's calling card. All of his, I guess, coordinator trees and head coaching trees, all those guys like Zach Taylor, they all pass happy. So it's no surprise there. It got them in trouble for a couple of games. Like Lawrence said, the Bengals game, some other games. So maybe rectify the situation. Williams is a good young back. Don't waste his talents. And then Stafford. I think that's the other big question. Is on the back end. Like Tevin said, probably 2-3 years max. You got Jimmy G in there after last season. I don't know about that one right there. Stetson Bennett, he's a good case, good test case. See how he looks in the preseason, but like Lawrence said, you probably still take a quarterback late. Maybe get a Spencer Rattler late, or maybe trade into the second round. Maybe Bo Nix. Go get Bo Nix. Maybe trade up a little bit in the second round. Go get Bo Nix. There's a lot of options for them there. So in terms of the Rams, I think they should just be right back where they are if McVay keeps cooking. I think AD is a big loss, but if you can find even a guy half as good as him, I think there's a good chance they'll be back at 10-7 at the very least. And last team, guys, we got the Super Bowl runner-ups, the 49ers, the second team to play in an overtime Super Bowl game. I guess making it to the Super Bowl is always good, but for them, losing to the Chiefs twice in the past, 5-6 years in the Super Bowl, it's gotta hurt, y'all. It's gotta hurt. Yeah, they try to get their lick back, and they just got kicked down again. So you hate to see it. Lawrence, we'll start with you on this one. Give us your grade of the 49ers season.
I don't know, man. You gotta give it an A, because they're one of 2 teams to make it to the Super Bowl. You unfortunately don't get an A+ because you didn't win it, and that was the whole end goal. A lot of it, I do believe. I will say in their expense. I mean, the fact that they lost Greenwall, pretty sure it was Greenwall, in like the start of the second quarter by a fluke injury of him just jumping up and down on the sideline, getting hyped to get back on the field. That was the fact that they stayed in the game and got it to overtime with that. I mean, props to them, because he's kind of a very physical, important point of their piece of their team. I think they said the guy who replaced him literally had only played like 60 snaps the whole season, so he was totally not ready for the Super Bowl. The fact that Fred Warner was able to keep his men in line on the battlefield, and keep it a game. Outside of that, I don't know. Just questionable things in the coaching department when things mattered the most on defense. And that was their whole thing. They decided they were going to blame everything on Steve Wilks. Pulled a card out of the Carolina Panthers book. Steve Wilks was completely the problem, quote unquote. It wasn't the poor officiating at certain points to help the Chiefs out or anything. No, it was just all on Steve Wilks. Totally don't believe in that one. I hope everyone hears my sarcasm, because I think Steve Wilks should have stayed the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, but it's neither here and there. But
yeah,
I'll just give it an A. Steve Wilks took a banged up defense and still hung around and took the team to overtime. I will say the biggest disappointing thing with the 49ers in that Super Bowl was the fact that they almost never threw the ball to Kittle. He caught 2 passes. And the one thing that kind of pissed me off, which I don't understand why no other team ever tried to exploit at all ever, was everyone gave the Bills shit about how they played the Chiefs. Oh, they kept throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, but it worked. Like, the Bills came closer than almost anyone beating them. You can say the 49ers did, but the 49ers got a little lucky here and there. The Bills just straight out beat the Chiefs that game, and their kicker screwed it. They screwed the pooch. Kicker just completely did not hold his end of the bargain, what he gets paid for. But the Bills, they literally showed you in that game how to beat the Chiefs, because their defense is just not built to be able to handle that. And what did every other team they do no other team they played ever tried to replicate it. Just no one ever tried. And that's the biggest kicker right there, is no one even tried to replicate the thing that one team did to almost beat them.
All right, fair enough. A season, I agree with that one. How about you, Tevin? What would you grade the 49ers season?
Well, yes, Steve Wilks should be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And the San Francisco 49ers, it's fair to say that they made it to the Super Bowl, but they shouldn't actually have made it to the Super Bowl. The Packers had them. The Lions certainly had them. The Lions smacked them around, actually. You talk about a team that showed you how to beat somebody. The Vikings showed us a long time ago how to beat the 49ers. You hurdy-purdy. You know what I mean? The Eagles showed us that too. You hurdy-purdy. So, you gotta get at him, and once he's a little rattled, a little razzle-dazzle, it's the same thing that happened with Brady. Like, how you beat him? All right, well, we got Osi Umenyiora, we got Justin Tuck, and we got Strahan. All right, that'll work. And how you beat Patrick Mahomes? Oh, we got Dominican Sue, Jason Pierre-Paul with one hand, but we got him. And got the Sri Lankan kid, the guy they got from Washington, and that can work. That can work. And a nice secondary. So how do you beat superstar quarterbacks or guys who have a trajectory to be superstar, or even game managers? Like, you got to wreck the middle. You got to wreck the defensive or offensive line. So, once that happens, Purdy's not that guy. And I've said it. I don't know why I keep people, giving him MVP and all that. Yeah, he can stat sheet stuff. The 49ers have had that with Jimmy Garoppolo. So for us to be like, oh, yeah, it's Purdy, is foolish, because we just saw this 49ers team with a different quarterback do the exact same thing, lose to an actual star quarterback. That's what's happened. They didn't even take a timeout.
Lose to the same one.
They literally, Mahomes was like, we don't need no timeout. Go and about your business. Hike. Bye. Peace. We're not worried about you. And the 49ers knew that. Christian McCaffrey, Debo, everybody hiding their face once they gave that ball back because it was a wrap. It was a wrap. And that defense, I mean, admirable. Yeah, they've had injuries. Hufanga losing him early, that was a blow for them because their secondary isn't, in my opinion, the best part of their best unit on their defense, which they played through, is definitely that front seven. So Bosa, I would have liked him to, of course, do a little bit more game wreck. But, you know, you had Chase Young there too. He made plays. So their defense did as much as they could to keep them in the game with a Chiefs team that doesn't have that much. But yeah, specifically those earlier games in the playoffs that they were not performing well, especially on the offense. Because like you said, Steve Wilks gets this, you know, all year it was blame Steve Wilks for everything. And it's like the offense is not scoring. Your Purdy guy doesn't look like the superstar. And Brandon Ayuk is your best route runner and your best actual wide receiver. If Debo is nicked, his best ability is just him being a playmaker. It's not him being a route technician. This is not Jerry Rice, fam. This is a playmaker. So with the Ayuk situation, it seems like that they'll be able to come to some resolution, break him some little cheddar. But after a while, it's going to be like you got the highest paid left tackle, you got the highest paid running back, you got the highest paid wide receivers. You gonna have, I guess, the highest paid quarterback. Somebody got to take an L. You got the highest paid tight end. Somebody bread got to come off the table. So if it was me, I'd probably let Ayuk stay because he's more of that technician. He's more of that route runner that they need in that offense. Can you find a playmaker like Debo? Not necessarily, but you gave him too much money for him maybe getting to the part of his career where he might not be as reliable and be able to do everything that you need him to do. So they got cap issues that is going to come up to a fold with them. So picking at 31, you know, maybe they even try to move up to get either somebody on offense, or maybe because they lost Chase Young to that mercenary route. So maybe you try to pair another edge with Bosa. And with Greenlaw out now, you definitely need to look at a linebacker in that second, third round that can play. They got Winters last year. He's okay. Familiar with his game. But they don't have. They lost Alex Oren, something like that. That other linebacker that came into play for Greenlaw in the Super Bowl. So they need a little depth at linebacker behind Warner. And another pass rusher. But I mean, offense, if you looked at the Super Bowl and you looked at the little intros, all pro, all pro, all pro, all pro. So I mean, all these all pros, it's like you just got to finish the job. You got to know the rules of overtime. You got to be able to not, you know, spot another team 21 points. And the only reason why they're not, you know, competing for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl is because they can't finish the job, you know? But that was it. Like, you didn't deserve to be in the Super Bowl, in the bowl at all, really. For 2 straight games, you didn't play well. So, you know, that's for me. They got by. They got into the bowl. But a B plus, because I don't think they should have been there. 1, and then 2, you ain't winning again. And it was, you know, the wrong person got blamed for it. You know, McCaffrey had a fumble. Purdy, you know, wasn't able to, you know, make all the throws that you would want him to make on that stage. The only thing that they got going for him is that, you know, Purdy's still young, and that head coach Shanahan, he can cook up any meal you want on offense. So interior offensive line, secondary or edge is what they need for the draft purposes, and their grade for the season is definitely like a B plus for me.
All right, fair enough. B plus. I think for me, I'm gonna have to lean more with Lawrence on this one. I think make the Super Bowl. I think that's an automatic A for me. You almost got there. almost finished the job, not quite. Lost to the same team twice in the past not 4, but like 5, 6 years. Supposed to get your lick back, you didn't. Like I said earlier, it sucks, but it is what it is. So, wrong person got scapegoated here. Like you both said, Steve Wilkes. That defense played well all season for the most part, and whenever there was a rough patch, he was the first guy that they looked shovel the blame onto. So it just sucks when that type of BS happens. But in terms of the season, though, I think it was great. Ayuk, I think, like Tevin said, firmly is embedded as their number one. It was a little up in the air with him and Debo, but I think Ayuk, the way he runs routes, run after catch, possession receiver, can run all the route tree. I think that brother, he's a bad mofo right there. So they better pony up and pay him. Purdy's still on a very, very cheap rookie contract. He still has a roommate to be able to afford rent in San Fran. So in about another year or so, that won't be the case. So pay that brother and figure it out later. I don't think you can afford to let him just walk. Or even if you trade him and you get a little bit of something back, I think the 49ers are in a win now mode while Purdy's contract is still very negligible to the cap. So once he gets near max deal, I don't know if he's going to command Joe Burrow money or Lamar Jackson money, but
Yeah,
he'll
right.
definitely get at least Daniel Jones money, and that's even still that's a lot. That's a lot right there. $40 million.
A year? 40?
I think DG got 40. So.
Oh my. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for the 49ers and their financial team when that happens. But I guess moving forward, with Chase Young gone, probably got to find someone that Nick Bosa can vibe with, because at times he kind of just disappears or just gets double and triple teamed. So it's the highest paid defensive guy. I'm pretty sure he probably needs a little bit more help. So I see they got Leonard Floyd. I see they picked up Hargrave as well. So we'll see if that helps. But they probably could use some cheap rookie talent there. And then I'm probably going receiver in the draft as well. You probably just gotta in the case of Ayuk, either he gets traded or he gets traded at the trade deadline. Maybe they tag him. Who knows? You just probably gotta, for like insurance policies, probably just gotta find someone who can fill his shoes, even if they put one shoe on and leave the other shoe off. You gotta find someone to be able to give somewhat of some type of his effort there. So. I think that's the 49ers in a nutshell. You guys covered it pretty well. But that's the NFC West, y'all. We are done. Finally finished with our season recaps. Many, many weeks, but we did a pretty damn good job. So you guys can go back and watch all the previous episodes. I think we did one every Monday episode, or Tuesday episode. So just go back and watch those. Draft is on Thursday. We have a lot to talk about. So, like I said in the opener, please be on the lookout for that episode. But coming up next, y'all, we got some NBA to talk about. Playoff action. We'll resume our playoff series previews, even though one game has been played in both the 1-8 matchups, NBA playoffs. So stay tuned for that. We had every single series tip off this weekend. Every home team won. I think the first time in a very long time that every home team won. I think the closest game, though, was last night, Pelicans and Thunder, which is a great segue because that's the first team we're going to be covering. Number 1 seed Pelicans, number 1 seed Thunder, and number 8 seed Pelicans. What a great game. I don't know if either of you guys got to watch it, but Pelicans held their own. Surprisingly, I thought the Thunder were going to not mollywop them, but definitely put them in their place, even though they're a bunch of youngsters. Now, one game's already been played, but like I said, they only won by 2. So, Thunder up 1-0. How do we feel about the series? Let's start with Tevin. Who do you think is going to win and how many games? Thunder up 1 game right now.
I mean, it's an easy pick to pick OKC, but I do have OKC in this. I don't even think with Zion, OKC is the Pelicans will be able to outlast OKC. I like the maturity that OKC showed in that game because it was easy for them. The Pelicans have, they've been in the playoffs. They're a perennial like low seed team under the Zion regime here. So I mean, yeah, they're a little bit more experienced in this situation than you are. But they don't have Zion and they're just playing. So, for them, and they got BG or Brandon Ingram, so they got BI. They got, CJ McCollum. They got guys who have, seen some stuff and done some things in this league, but, that's not a team that you want to be necessarily playing around with. Just because they don't really care and they got some guys who can ball. But I don't see how OKC drops this thing. I got this in 5 if they just want to be gentlemen about it. But OKC, like I said, I like their maturity. I think from that game, I took it away where, yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, he's the MVP. That's just me. I saw the MVP that night because that team needed him, and in moments he was able to do, what MVP should do. Make the big buckets, stare down in defense, make the right play, and they got the rest of those guys involved and they contributed. All of their young guys played very well. The other guard, who's their other guard?
Jay Williams,
No,
Jalen Williams.
The other dude, he's he might be a forward. He might be like their wing player.
Josh Giddey.
Not black.
Isaiah
with corn.
Isaiah Joe.
You talking about Dort?
Yeah, Dort. Hooping. Dort was hooping. Especially on the defense, and he made things difficult. So, I like how their team's constructed. They got, young guys on the bench that can play well, and they got their starting 5, and I like Shai. So OKC to me is very much live in these playoffs. And a team that I don't think necessarily a lot of people want to see. That's a good number 1 seed right there. Western Conference Finals, I think minimum with OKC should be looking at, because I really like them. They made adjustments in the second half for a young team. That's not necessarily the easiest thing for them to do. And they're the youngest team in NBA history to make the playoffs and played well. They didn't let the moment get too big for them playing at home. That kind of energy, that kind of momentum could backfire. And like I said, the Pelicans are, scrappy, a little dangerous. So they didn't let the game go away. They didn't say, oh, we'll get them again type of thing. They handled business. That was kind of like a grown man win for them. So I like the win for OKC. I like their chances to get to the Western Conference Finals.
All right, fair enough. Western Conference Finals. That's kind of a hot take right there, Lawrence. How about you? How you see this series ending out? Who do you got winning and how many games?
Well, I'm gonna be the asshole. It's gonna be OKC in 4. It's gonna be
Sweet.
Pelicans didn't do good down the stretch at home. They beat up the Kings team. They beat up all season. It is what it is. They couldn't beat up the Lakers at home. But I think that the Thunder got the game in which they needed, which was the first game of the series. They needed to be scared. They needed to know what it was like to have everything possibly looking bleak in order to counter it and, come at it a lot better. But honestly, the reason why I think the OKC wins it, because when Trey Murphy is your best player on your team, there's just no chance. And Trey Murphy was the best player on their team. I don't know what it is about CJ McCollum, but he's cold. I mean, he's just super cold. Man's taking dumb shots at the end of the game, too. I mean, there was like 30 things he could have done better than that he did. I mean, Shaq said it. All you had to do was jump into him, and you could have gotten your little self a pity foul, and you would have had 3 shots. But, CJ McCollum just does not look good the entire playoffs so far. I mean, outside of Trey Murphy, the only person who showed any kind of I just want to say amazingness or, I guess power or I don't know, just gave any kind of life was Valanciunas. which
Yeah.
they're not even letting them shoot. They're not even letting them dunk it. They're not letting them do anything. All they're like, okay, boy, you get rebound. Like he doesn't speak English or something. Like you get rebound, but you get rebound, and that's how they like talking to him. Like, dude, him and Trey Murphy, the only one carrying your asses, and that's how you're gonna treat the man? Like, get out of here. He made Chet Holmgren look like a little hoe out there, beating him around, giving him black eyes. You know, he slapped that boy around. He was like, "You better give me my pimp money." And you know, Chet, you know, he got his due back, but you know, 11 rebounds to 20 is a big different story. But yeah, I mean that's why I think the Thunder are gonna come out with the series. I mean, the game one was the game that you need to take, or you know, for the Thunder it was the kind of the game you needed to be scared. And I don't think the Thunder are going to be scared anymore in the series at all. I you know, for a young team, they already faced the scariest moment so far.
Yeah, that's true. Almost losing that game, they definitely, faced adversity well. So it's always a good learning point right there. For me, I would say Thunder at 5. I'm kind of leaning towards 6 though. Being close at home, I don't really like that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I think Thunder played well. They could have played better. Could have got some more production out of some of the role players. Like Lou Dort probably could have gave you a little bit more, but he's preoccupied defensively, so I'm not gonna knock him there. J Dub does what he does. 8 of 18. Gave some points when you needed it. Oh, 19. Gave some points when you needed it. So I mean, they played well. They probably had some better basketball. On the Pelicans side, they just played awful. I mean, when your two best players just shoot horribly, like Bi was 5 of 17, McCollum, like Lawrence said, was just taking dumbass shots and ended up going 9 of 22, 2 of 9 from three. And Herb Jones, like, bro, you play defense. Don't be shooting 8 threes, man. Come on
You think
now.
he a star, dog? Oh
Yeah, I mean, you
man.
gotta stick to just defense. We don't need you any threes, just defense. All
Nah,
right,
we try to get him a max. No, bro.
all right. So I think there's some things they can fix. Defensive wise, I think they're pretty
They
solid.
are
So
some.
that's what's giving me worries. And like Lauren said, the one guy that was consistently good all game was Big Val Tunes. The boy averaged or got you 20 rebounds. Was getting a lot of second chance buckets, not for himself but also for the team. So that's the Thunder's weakness is a big guy down low. If Valanciunas is going to continue to wreak havoc, getting I don't know 20 rebounds a game isn't going to happen. But if he can get you 12, 13 rebounds and half of them are offensive, Thunder are going to be in trouble, y'all. So I'm gonna say 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if this goes 6. I think Valanciunas is the Thunder's kryptonite, and if the Pelicans are smart enough, if Willie Reed is smart enough, he'll just feed the big fella because Chet can't. I mean, he can't stop him. That boy got 100 pounds on him. He just pushing him around, slapping him like it ain't nothing. So,
Come here.
so yeah, that's my 2 cents right there. We got another series to go over though. We got the Celtics. We got my Heatles. It ain't looking too good, y'all.
Yeesh.
It ain't looking too good at all.
Nah, Markel.
No Jimmy.
Are you ready
No
for the
Scary
brew?
Terry.
Are you like are you just waiting like by the closet and like oh you hope you don't have to get it? Like where are you at with the brew?
I think Scary Terry possibly might be back for Game 3. So I
So you
think
talking about this man like he broad. What is this scary territory?
I think we got one game in us. I'm just gonna take this off. I think Heat got one game in them. I think it's season 5. The C's are gonna shoot bad one game. They're gonna put up 53s and probably make
They will
10,
do that. They will do that.
and it will be their downfall. It has been their downfall at points throughout the past 2 seasons. So that's what I'm banking on. Game 3, where they just shoot like poop, and Miami comes in and steals that. Even though it's at home, it's a steal. And then Boston closes out. So it's been a good season, just a lot of injuries. Jimmy, unfortunately, is out. Scary Terry, neck issues, whatever the case is. And then when it comes down to is Hero is going to put up all the shots. Everyone and their grandmother knows that. So it's just key up on him. And then the Celtics are basically saying, hey, Bam and Hawkins beat us. So that's what they got to work with. Other than that, Heat fans out there, look towards the offseason. Woj and Shams already putting it out there that certain young player on Bam's timeline might be in the works. So you already know I got my jersey pre-ordered. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Let's move on to Lawrence. Who you got in this one and how many games?
Celtics in 4.
Wow.
Yeah, your Heat already hurt my feelings last game, so I want to hear it.
I told you after you made that bet that they were not going to cover, and voila, they did not cover.
So I don't expect them to cover the rest of the series.
Yeah, they'll cover a game at home.
They might be able to cover a bowling pot with a lid.
Put some soda in there.
That one kind of hurt, y'all. So you got Celtics in 4. Any other thoughts on the series?
I mean, I got the Celtics. I mean, I can't. You want a gentleman's sweep? I'll give you 5. But honestly, I do have the broom closet open. It is assembled. I mean, if it come out, it come out. The Heat, like you said. I don't know who you're talking about. Who's on the timeline with Bam? But yeah, go. Whoever they need to go get him. They need another him. They need somebody to make it easier, especially offensively. Like Bam and Jimmy, it's just so hard for them to get a bucket. It's the hardest thing to watch. It's the most frustrating thing to watch. Is Heat basketball because they can shoot. They'll get shooters, but then those guys don't always like develop or become stars. Like they don't have the star power that they used to have. And then you got Jimmy sitting here trying to jack the mid range. And then you got Bam here. He's undersized, trying to be a 6'9" dude with every 7-footer in the league. And he trying to get buckets. And then it's really difficult. Sometimes they have him bring the ball up the court. That's not really, to me, his game. He's a 4 that,
Or the center.
Or the center. But, I mean, I like him at 4. I'm cool with him at a 4. And if you can get a solid, bigger presence to just take it off, because playing 82 games as undersized dude, that's just a lot on him. That's a lot of wear and tear, especially when you want to get to the playoffs and maybe like offensively get a little bit more from him and get nights like you had from him against the Celtics, which, they have solid dudes. They're going to keep rotating, and Porzingis is giving buckets too. Like we got Porzingis giving buckets now. The Celtics this is a wrap. This is a wrap. Jaylen Brown, he teabagging focus. It's a wrap. So at the end of the day, whatever the Heat need to do, they need to sign somebody as soon as Game 4 is over, completed, break the rules. Tampering starts that day. Go get him. Whoever him is, go get him.
Go get him. So that was a quick one right there. But I think we still do have another game, another series that's currently going on right now. We got the Knicks and Sixers. I don't think we covered that one. Embiid looked like he went down a little bit on, Saturday?
Yeah.
It was a little scary, but he came back. Sixers, unfortunately, didn't close the deal there. Knicks got the first one at home. They're playing right now, but Knicks are up 1-0. Fellas, let's start with Lawrence. Who do you got in this one, Lawrence, and how many games?
Knicks and 76ers. I mean, this one's hard. I'm going to go Knicks and 6. I'm going to get them on the road against Philly when Philly tries to make a series of it after shocking some people. But I think the Knicks outright should get it. If currently in the current game that's happening right now, my boy Josh Hart just having himself some time against them. So they're currently doing mediocre right now. They're down by 4. But Josh Hart has himself 19 points after having 22 points in the first game. So shout out to Josh Hart. Keep it going.
Josh Hart balling as usual. Tevin, how about yourself? Who you got in this one, and how many games?
It is tough because now I'm like the best player is Embiid, but he indefinitely cannot stay healthy. And even if he
Mm,
does stay healthy, like they're definitely still kind of outmatched at least with the sheer depth of the Knicks. And their defense is swarming, especially with getting OG, just getting OG.
OG.
Man, getting OG. And they got a star in Jalen Brunson. He's embraced that role and it fits him. Then they got DiVincenzo, got Josh Hart, they got the Philly boys. So I mean, I I like Embiid more than anybody, but I would take them in 7, the Sixers in 7, but I do like the Knicks, but I don't like them before 7 games unless Embiid has like some really monster games. I can't see them. I just can't see the Knicks winning this before 7. It just feels like what the Knicks do right now. But I do like them as a little dark horse to maybe, push for the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe you can get beat by Boston, but you could go there. Little Knicks Boston thing. That would be nostalgic for the league. Everybody be happy. But yeah, that's just how I see it. I got the Knicks in a tough one. And Maxi, if you want to be labeled a superstar, get me a game. Give me a game. I just need a game from Maxi, and then we'll see what's up. Because if Embiid can wake up and just feel good for a night, he can get us a game. But I need to see if Maxi's one of those players that can get me a game. Because then we got something here. Even if we don't win the series, whatever, flush it. Let's go find somebody else who can compliment us. But we know we got a bona fide dude that we can go to in case Embiid got to hold the bench for a little bit. And we try and make sure he's ready for the next year's playoffs. So yeah, I want. This is a big series to see if Maxi is that second guy, that superstar. But other than that, I mean, the Sixers ain't winning no chip in my opinion. Even with Embiid healthy. So yeah, sorry Sixers.
Yeah, I'm about to agree with you there. Sorry, Sixers. I think I'm kind of in the fence between Knicks and 6 and Knicks and 7 because the Knicks are going to have a game where they just just fuck it up. It's in their
It's
DNA.
in the blood.
It's in the DNA. So I'm kind of leaning. Uh, I'm gonna go Knicks in 7. I just think they're gonna screw around and give the Sixers a game that they shouldn't. So I'm gonna go Knicks in 7. I don't trust him beating game 7s. He just always chokes or fades away. So I'm not too worried there. Um, but like you said, Maxi is probably the key to this series, depending on what his games look in the future. Oh shit! But he's balling right now. I think he has like 4 threes or something. So he's balling right now.
That's who.
Last game, he had 33. So pretty good game. But in order for them to beat the Knicks, he's got to be on point every single game. And B has played well. Probably got to get you more rebounds, be a bigger presence in the paint. Because your boy Mitchell Robinson, he's been holding it down.
Yeah,
Hartenstein too.
yeah, he on the block for real.
And
Hardenstein got
Jalen Brunson
a little game too.
and Brunson, I mean, honestly played bad in game 1, so I'm not expecting that moving forward. And Josh Hart gave you out of his world game, so I'm not expecting that going forward. So, like I said, there's gonna be a game or two where the Knicks just screw around and hand it to the Sixers. The biggest thing is the Sixers got to capitalize, but the Knicks is gonna win. They're gonna win this one. I think Embiid, that's probably 70-75%, is just not enough to tackle the Knicks. Which I mean, they don't have Randall, but they're not going to need Randall to beat the 76ers, unfortunately. So Knicks in 7, and that's pretty much all the playoff series that we have to go over. Some other games. I mean, all the games happened this weekend, so
Yeah.
it's been a pretty good weekend of basketball so far. This should be games on every single night, so you guys definitely check them out, along with some hockey. Hockey playoffs are going on as well. So it's just a lot to watch. Just a lot to watch. I think that's all we got for you guys today. Fellas, any final thoughts before we head on out of here?
The Magic disappointed me. They played young boy basketball, and they got smacked around. So I'm a little disappointed in the Magic. Other than that, man, everybody kind of. Oh, and the Mavs. I'm a little disappointed in the Mavs too, but
Yeah.
I mean, like the Clippers, because we had called I think all of us said the Mavs, and for me, it's like, now James Harden is doing like step backs and not just getting the kick out, fake fouls. He's kind of hooping like, okay. And then you got Paul George like, I am a star, and I'm gonna give it to Paul George. Now, that was a game where I'm like, yeah, he is a star. He is a star in this in the NBA. So if they gonna hold the block down and Kawhi can come, honestly, if they could hold it down and maybe even get him late in the to the next round, to the second round, like I would kind of like their chances to sneak into a Western Conference matchup, with maybe the Nuggets or OKC. And the Clippers, they hooping. They got offensive threats, like legit dudes. And like I said, you get Kawhi back, you mess around, make something shake. So yeah, I'm disappointed in the Mavs and the Magic, but it is what it is. The Mavs, they got they got two superstars, and that's that. The role players have to step up. It's not optional. Tim Hardaway, Lively, and Gafford, and I know Gafford kind of got nicked up in there. Dudes got to step up though. And maybe the Luka and Kyrie get those guys touches a little bit earlier. Because their offense, I don't like their half court. It just, they didn't have the energy, and it was just like stand and watch, and that's how you end up getting smacked around by 30 points almost. So like, yeah, like the Clippers, let's just see. But they might make us some big liars, big liars. That's it. Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, disappointing the Mavs. Any final thoughts for you, Lawrence?
No, I'm gonna stay away from NBA because I haven't had a good time with it. Mavs disappointed me. I'm just gonna throw out some outlandish, I guess, hockey thoughts.
Let's hear it.
So I'm going with the Boston Bruins. I already put 36. It's what I had in my ESPN account before I decided to leave it because I hate ESPN Plus, or sorry, an ESPN Bet. So I have 36 on the Boston Bruins to straight up win the whole entire Stanley Cup.
Oh,
Yeah, they were one of the best teams last year in hockey. Had a little bit more coming back down to earth this season. So I'm kind of expecting a little bit more. I'm kind of getting that vibe with the Bruins going into the postseason. The same kind of vibes you get from the Capitals in that 2019 run. The 2018, they were the best team in hockey by far, and they lost in the first round. Same thing with the Boston Bruins last season, by far the best team in hockey, and then just lost in the first round.
is that it?
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the Bruins. I have also the Dallas Stars to make it to the Stanley Cup. I don't have them winning it. I had them making it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I think for me, final thoughts. My Lakers, disappointing game. First half, I texted Lawrence for the game. I was like, Lakers going to come out and blitz them. Sure enough, they did. They just combination of ran out of gas, plus the rest of the team didn't show up. Kind of screwed them in the end. Lakers definitely had a chance to win that game. Should have went up. Probably should have been up 18, but careless turnovers and D'Lo basically shooting the Lakers out of the game. Lakers only went up 3 at the half. And I'm not going to give all the blame to D'Lo, but, I mean, if you shoot 1 for 9 from the three-point line, you're shooting your team into a bad spot, so that's never good right there. So, I mean, and Austin Reeves, you got to show up, buddy. We can't have you just showing up when it's almost over. So, got to get some more production from your role players. And when D'Lo shoots bad, Darvingham, pitting Gabe Vincent, he's been in these big games before, bro. Just put someone in there that can make a couple threes and take him out, and then let D'Lo have his little time to shine, and maybe he can get into rhythm, but can't have that performance tonight. Tevin already touched on the Mavs. Very disappointed. I think they had like an 8-point quarter. What the hell? If you take that away, the Mavs probably win that game, but you can't, so you got to live with the results. They definitely gotta fix that up, because I think they're in the same spot the Lakers. Mavs need to split one of these two, so if they go down 2-0, my confidence in the Mavs will dip very significantly. I will say that right there. Everything else went pretty as I expected in terms of NBA. So I don't have any thoughts there. Didn't get a chance to watch any UFL. Too much NBA basketball, but I think the Defenders are home this week. So maybe we'll cover that game, or we'll preview that game on Wednesday, along with the other football stuff. Wednesday's going to be an all football episode, so definitely good. But other than that, I think that's it. MTL Sports Podcast, episode 88. Thank you guys for watching, and we're going to head on out. Peace.
Giving me